Hello, and welcome to Running the Table, the podcast where we run through everything on the table in the world of sports. And today we are back with NFL predictions. We did the wild card round last week. This week we got the divisional round of the playoffs. We got 4 games. So without further ado, Tim, you ready to get into it?
Let's run it.
All right. Short, quick, to the point, easy. I love it. The first game we got Saturday afternoon is the Cincinnati Bengals playing the number 1 seed Tennessee Titans. The Titans coming off a bye, getting Derrick Henry back, which is the big thing for them. But Cincinnati is coming off their first playoff win in 3 decades since 1991 against the Las Vegas Raiders at home. So now they go to Tennessee and play that stacked Titans team, which I think is going to come out and win this ball game. Because as much as I can see Cincinnati taking this game in an upset, this is the one upset that I can really particularly see this week. I'm sticking with my hot take. If you watch the hot takes video, you know that I have the Tennessee Titans making the Super Bowl and Derrick Henry running for over 200 yards in this game. I'm sticking with it. Both of those things are going to happen, and the Titans are going to roll. The terrific Tennessee trio of Ryan Tannehill, Derrick Henry, and A.J. Brown is going to wreak havoc on that Cincinnati defense. And another aspect is that the Titans defense, which was a weak point in past years, is now really a strength for them. It's been much improved under Mike Vrabel. And I feel like with that front seven, they can get some pressure on Joe Burrow. Well, the Cincinnati offensive line still really isn't that great. So I think the Cincinnati offense can definitely be slowed if they need to be. I got Tennessee.
Yeah, like you said, I mean, Derrick Henry's coming back. And granted, the Bengals' run defense is particularly solid, but I don't think they have the firepower to stop both halves of the Titans' offense, given what we saw from their performance against the Raiders. For the little that the Raiders did run the ball, they ran it pretty effectively. So I think that Tennessee will do a lot of the same, especially with getting Derrick Henry back. Also, Tennessee is they're getting healthy at the right time. A.J. Brown should be almost entirely healthy, if not entirely healthy, after battling with injuries most of the year. And Julio Jones should be healthy, even though he hasn't had too much of an effect on this team this year. And obviously, of course, getting Derrick Henry back is going to be massive. And having him not play in Week 18 and having this bye, I think will allow him to come back about as close to full strength as he can with that injury. Also to keep in mind that they managed to hold on to this number 1 seed with all of those injuries throughout the year. So I think all of those things put together, Tennessee's going to put together a pretty solid game. I love Joe Burrow, but I just don't think that he's going to be able to match up with the Titans across the table on this one.
Yeah, you bring up some really good points with them getting healthy at just the right time. Both 1 seeds are getting healthy at just the right time. Tennessee and across the NFC in Green Bay, which is actually the next game that we're going to be covering. The San Francisco 49ers, fresh off an upset against the Dallas Cowboys, go to the frozen tundra and play the number 1 seed Green Bay Packers. Now, it is quite obvious who I'm going to pick. As a Packer fan, I'm not picking against my team. But
who would have seen that one coming?
Yeah, right. But I actually think they're going to win. Now, we could just go dummy football and say, oh, Packers have the better quarterback. The Packers have the better overall roster. The Packers make less mistakes in terms of they're one of the least penalized teams in the league, and they turn the ball over almost less than anyone else, which is just a recipe for winning. You know, you could say all of those things, but I'm not going to. I am going to point to Jimmy Garoppolo. Tim, you pointed out that he was going to have a really good day last week. I am predicting it's a hot take for a reason.
Yeah, it was definitely a pretty hot take, and it ended up kind of falling flat in its face.
Didn't mean it was going to happen. That's okay.
Yeah.
But did you know that Jimmy Garoppolo has never had an NFL snap in temperatures below 40 degrees in his career?
Welcome to playing in San Francisco.
Yeah. Even
they just haven't had too many away games that have been in incredible low temperatures, I guess.
The coldest game that Jimmy Garoppolo has ever played in the NFL was against the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, where game time temperature was around 41 degrees. Now, I understand that Jimmy Garoppolo grew up in Chicago and went to college at Eastern Illinois. So he has played in cold weather before. However,
But entering the pros is just different.
it's been a very, very long time. And he's also nursing both an injured hand and shoulder, which he has gone on record saying affects his every throw. So I know Jimmy G has played in the cold before, but he ain't breaking any passing records against the Packers. I'll tell you that much right now.
Yeah, like you said in this one, all the stuff with Jimmy Garoppolo, if he even is going to be healthy enough to play, I'm not sure if that's entirely up in the air whether or not he's going to be able to play through those. I guess we'll see as the week progresses. But we haven't seen Aaron Rodgers yet this postseason, obviously with them getting the bye. But I see no reason that he won't pick up right where he left off during the season, regardless that the 49ers defense. I will give the 49ers defense credit. They did look relatively solid in getting to Dak and kind of rushing the Cowboys a little bit, but I don't see them doing the same thing to Rodgers and the Packers in this game. Everything with their offense being as iffy as it was in the previous game. They're going to have to lean even more on the run in this game, which I think the Packers will kind of just be able to gobble up right at the beginning. And even if they do have some success, I don't think it will be enough to outpace the Packers' high-powered offense. So I've got the Packers in this one as well. It wasn't too difficult of a decision, to say the least.
Woo! Yay, a Bears fan picking the Packers.
I have to follow logic.
I like the objectivity there, Tim. Now,
and even if you're going along with my hot take, I did say that Garoppolo would have a good game, but still lose to the Packers. So regardless of whether the part of the hot take was wrong, I still picked the Packers to win this game anyway. So
fair enough. We'll move on to the Sunday slate, where Sunday afternoon, the Los Angeles Rams play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Florida. Now, this is a rematch of a regular season game where Tom Brady went into Los Angeles and lost 24-34. Tampa Bay is favored in this game by a field goal, but I'm actually going to take the upset here. I have the Los Angeles Rams winning this game. And for two main reasons. First is Tampa Bay and their injuries. They've been a battered up team for the majority of this late regular season, like the past couple weeks. You have on the injury report, you have three running backs, Leonard Fournette, Ronald Jones, Giovanni Bernard. They're all on the injury list. Rashad Perriman, Cyril Grayson, two wide receivers. And then you got Ryan Jensen, their center, and Tristan Wirfs, their right tackle, their all-pro right tackle, who has been in a boot, and Levante David on defense. So Tampa Bay is completely battered. They are not very healthy. They're not at full strength. And the Rams, they made life miserable for Kyler Murray in the wild card game. And I'm going to think that they're going to continue that with their defensive line, with the Buccaneers offensive line not being as healthy as it should be. The Rams D-line is going to put a lot of pressure on Tom Brady, and Tom Brady got sacked 4 times against Philadelphia in the wild card. And the winning formula against quarterbacks like Tom Brady is you got to hit him. And you got to put pressure on him. You got to keep him uncomfortable. And I think the Rams can do that, and they can force bad passes from the Hall of Famer. And I think they can come away with the upset.
Yeah, I mean, all of those reasons make sense. The Rams obviously looked very good in their wild card game, and to be fair, so did the Bucs. But I think they clearly had the easier matchup of the two. But it's tough for me to go against playoff Brady, and in this one, I won't. And that's where we're going to differ on this one. Is I think that regardless of all these injuries that they're going through, I think Brady's going to find a way to get it done, because obviously the Rams looked very solid controlling the Cardinals and keeping Kyler uncomfortable, but I just don't know if they're going to be able to do the same with the Buccaneers. Because if there's one thing that Tom Brady is great at that I don't think Kyler Murray nearly is reading NFL defenses and getting the ball out quickly. Yes, they did face some pressure against the Eagles and he did get sacked. But going into this game, I have a feeling that he knows what's coming in terms of the defensive line, and they're going to be prepared to get the ball out quickly. I also think that they are going to get some of the guys back that you mentioned that have been battered and dealing with injuries. And I think that is going to end up being enough to carry them through this game. I think with this one being in Tampa, that's going to help them a lot. Play really to Tom's strengths. So I've got the Bucks edging this one out, but I think this should arguably be the most exciting game to watch out of this divisional slate.
Tom Brady won't go
Hey,
away.
it's more fun if we have differing picks. So I'm kind of glad we get this one.
But Tom Brady just needs to go away, and I really don't want to see
maybe
him
one
again.
day.
I don't want to see him again in an NFC.
Yeah, you really don't want him to get to that NFC Championship, do you?
That's neither here nor there. If I had to pick a team, I'll take my chances with Matt Stafford, but that's neither here nor there.
That's fair.
Now, Sunday night, we have the Big Kahuna, arguably the best game of this divisional playoffs. That's why they put it at Sunday night. It is a rematch of the AFC Championship game. We get it a little bit earlier this time. The Buffalo Bills and the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, this is a matchup that Josh Allen and the Bills won earlier in the year, 38-20 at Arrowhead. But Kansas City last year in the playoffs, they defeated the Bills and they went on to the Super Bowl. So it's been a fairly split matchup, like 50-50 down the middle. And Tim, I want to hear what you've got in this game first.
So this one is obviously gearing up to be a really interesting one. But I am going to be following my other playoff hot take and the fact that the Chiefs are going to come into this game unprepared off of their pretty easy win over the Steelers, and they're going to get ran by the Bills once again. I think Josh Allen has just looked absolutely masterful, especially in this last game against the Patriots, completely dismantling them. The Chiefs offense, of course, looked incredible once it woke up versus the Steelers. But I just don't think they're going to be prepared enough on both sides of the ball to outgun the Bills' offense and extremely solid defense. The one thing for the Chiefs is that they will be getting more healthy on the rushing side. Today, Clyde Edwards-Helaire was a full participant in practice, so it looks like he should be gearing up to be good for this game. But I don't think that they'll be able to outpush that Bills defensive line as well. So I don't think they're going to get nearly very much out of the run game. And I think that the Bills are going to force them to be particularly one-dimensional, which is also what helped them win that first matchup in convincing fashion. So I've got the Bills by pretty hefty amount in this one, actually.
Wow. I'm actually going to disagree with you outright. And you talk about that Bills defense. I don't think that's the defense that we should really be worrying about. Kansas City down the stretch has had the better defense. They have actually been on fire. And even though the Bills kept Mac Jones to a pretty pedestrian day, they have been pretty mediocre down the stretch. They've finished in the middle of the league in the past like 4 or 5 weeks of the season. And for me, it comes down to this. I know what Kansas City is. I don't know what Buffalo is, because Buffalo has been so darn inconsistent. The upside of this Buffalo team is what we saw in the wild card game against New England. They are a very, very potent team and a very, very tough team to stop. But the downside is they can play some sloppy football, and it will not do you any favors against a team as good as the Chiefs. Like, for example, just even in this season, the Bills can lay an egg against the Jaguars and get pounded by the Colts, but they can absolutely dominate the Patriots in the wild card, and they can beat the Chiefs in Arrowhead. I really don't get what this Bills team is. And we know how good Kansas City is. We know their bread and butter. We know what they're going to do, and we know what they're made of. So for that reason alone, if there's a hill that I'm going to die on here, it's going to be with the Chiefs. So that's just me. I also need to catch some ground on you in the predictions, being down 3 games. And this is a very, very good way to do it when we're disagreeing with Sunday's slate. So
yeah, absolutely.
May the odds be ever in your favor, good sir.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting. But if you're picking your hill to die on being the Chiefs and what they're known as, my hill to die on is Josh Allen. He's shown his incredible talent and his ability to make stuff out of seemingly nothing at times. And I think that he's going to be the better quarterback in this game. If that is a hot take of its own from from this episode, I think he is going to be the better quarterback in this game.
Well, it's very interesting, and may the best quarterback win in that one, and may the best team win all divisional round long. We have our picks. We'll see how they play out Saturday and Sunday. After those, we will be bringing you a recap video. But yeah, that is all we got. Like and subscribe for more Running the Table content. We got a lot of football stuff, and we got some college football stuff because the playoffs weren't that too long ago. So if you want to check that out, you can. And we have an NHL video thrown in somewhere because, hey, who doesn't like hockey? But until next time, we out.